All right, well, thank you for attending, everyone. One of our Friday afternoon, a couple of days early, Friday afternoon training sessions. So today we're going to be going through Build.IQ and how that synchronizes with iGyro. So Build.IQ is the software that we use to do your post-contract estimating. And you can see that on screen here at the moment. So it's separated here with all the different cost centers. And as you select through cost centers, you're adding items into each one of those cost centers. So I'm not going through today on how to use Build.IQ. We've done that on a previous session, but what I will be showing you is how this integrates with Gyro and how you move it from one system to the other. All right, so the first thing that we need to look at is we'll just log into the iGyro portal. This is the portal here, and we'll just have a look at the admin settings under group settings. And we'll go into global settings for this one. So there's a couple of things to look at here. One of them is this sync suppliers to Build.IQ. So iGyro has companies and Build.IQ has suppliers, and they're one and the same thing. So the general practice here is to create your companies in iGyro, and that's where they'll start their life. And you'll come into here, into this global settings section, and sync your Build.IQ suppliers. So that'll copy all of your current iGyro companies into Build.IQ. So it's just as simple as clicking that button and just letting that synchronize. Now, the next thing to look at here is the purchase orders. So this is the purchase order settings here. So we click onto this one here. We have this additional screen. You have an option here to change your logo. So by default, we're looking at the Integrity New Homes logo. It doesn't have your franchise name on it. So if you prefer to have your purchase orders going out with that as part of your logo, you can do that here. So you would just click that choose file and drag and drop a file into here, or click choose file, and that will upload it for you when you save. Now, as we go down a little bit further, we've got the purchase order notes. So these notes are what's printed on the bottom of your purchase orders when you generate them. So there's a standard set of notes in here for you to start with, and you can modify these to suit. So one thing of note would be here, we've got a link to the TAC files, trade agreement for contractors. You'd want to change this to be your own link here. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it for the settings there. All right, so we'll jump back into Build.IQ. Now, after you've got all of your orders in place here in Build.IQ, one trick here is just to make sure that each one of your orders here has a supplier associated to it. Once you've done that, these orders will be available in the batch orders screen. So if we go to batch orders, and we'll open the job that we're working on here. So these are all the orders here. And again, they won't show up in here unless you've assigned a supplier to it back in the bill of quantities screen. Now, what we need to do is just make sure that these show as ordered. So I have a tick box and an order date in here. So you can do that one at a time just by selecting the item, and just here there's a log orders button. And you can see that's ticked this box for us. Just to reference to, there's an unlog orders button as well. If we click that, that's obviously doing the reverse there. Now you can do multiples. So if we select more than one, we can log all those orders. All right, so it's just log the ones that we selected. There's also a select all here as well. So you may not need to do the whole lot because you might still be working on a set of orders. You might have only got up to this part of the job. So once that's done, we can synchronize that into iGyro, and that is done via the portal again. So we're in our iGyro portal, and we'll just load that job up. All right, if anyone has any questions along the way, feel free to put your hand up and I'll allow you to talk as well. All right, so once we're on that job now, I've got that loaded up, you'll notice we've got an orders tab. So if we click onto that one. All right, and there's nothing here to start with, but what we just need to do here is click on this sync Build.IQ orders here. So I'll click that now. All right, so that's synchronized in all of those orders that we logged. So we log those back in Build.IQ. Now, a couple of things to note here. We have this exclamation mark, so that's a generate PDF order. So at the moment, this is just a record in the database. There's no physical PDF that you can email to anyone at this stage. These columns over here, these are great for keeping track of the cost of your job. So we've got our value here. So this is the value of our purchase order. We've got the invoiced amount. So this is the amount that's that the supplier's already invoiced you for. And this is showing figures in here just because I've already had some information in this test database. So generally, if you're starting out with a job, all of this invoice column will be 0. And the variance will show you the difference between the two. All right, if we click on, let's pick one of these, there's a line items button on the right as well. If we click on that, that'll just give you a breakdown of the individual items that are on that order. So it's not, you can't edit this at this stage. This is just a read-only view. Shoot back to orders. Now, to generate the purchase order, the PDF purchase order from these, it's just a matter of clicking this button. So that'll generate for an individual row here. And you'll notice that the exclamation mark is gone, but we also have this link here. So the order number turned into a link. So you can either click that, or I'd like to right click and open up in a new tab. And that's the purchase order that's been generated from that. All right, so again, just a simple matter of clicking that one. It's generated the link for us. And just for reference, if you need to redo that for some reason, you might need to resync it from Build.IQ. You can come into the attachments area under purchase orders and supervisor. This is where the orders are being generated to. So you'll notice here that for each order, we've actually got a second purchase order created there. One has the dollar amounts on it. The other one is a no price. So it's got it's not showing the value of that purchase order. And you might find that useful in some cases where you've got a trade that needs to see the purchase order for another trade, but you don't want them to see that price. Now, if you did want to regenerate these, you just need to delete these attachments out. You can do this from the iGyro desktop or from the portal here. And you'll notice that the exclamation mark is back again, and you can regenerate that order. Now, you may like to generate more than one at a time, so you might want to do the whole lot or just a section of them. To do that, you can click, say, the top row, or this one here, and then shift click the next row. It'll highlight everything in between. And in this load column, there's a special context menu here that if we right click it, we've got a generate PDF orders option here. So it'll just take a moment, depending on how many you have, you might have to wait a minute or so. I've just noticed we've got some that are missing some companies here. That's because it's a test database and I haven't synchronized the suppliers in. All right, so it's generated all of those, and we can see that back in the attachments tab again. Purchase orders, supervisor, and here's all the attachments. So 2 for every order, one's no price, one with the prices. All right, so that's everything in place there. So from here, we're just going to shoot into the Gyro desktop. This is we're actually using the Gyro desktop to issue these orders out to your suppliers. In time, we'll get that feature developed directly into this orders tab, so you can issue them straight from here. Until that happens, we'll just shoot back over to Gyro here. And we've already got the job loaded up. Click on the orders tab. Here's all the orders that we've synchronized in. While I'm here, I should note, just while we're talking about the Gyro portal and the Gyro desktop and how we're integrating the two and moving more towards the portal, there's a link here. So if you do need to get directly into the portal, this link here will open the portal up on the tab that you've selected. So in this case, from the orders tab, we click on this client named Joe Smith. It will open up a window directly onto this orders tab here. So we pick another one like, say, client contacts. We can click on Joe Smith again. That's taking us straight through the client contacts tab. All right, back on topic here, we'll get back to the orders. So here's all the orders that we've synchronized in from Build.IQ. And you'll notice here, some of these have a red exclamation mark. And if you hover your cursor over the top, it's just telling you that you might be missing a particular file. So the reason for that is that we're automatically attaching files when you send these purchase orders out to suppliers. So they may need construction plans, or in this case, looks like the engineering files are missing. So I've selected that row. We can see that it's sending automatically the engineer's edge, the construction plans. There's a certifiers drawing there by the look as well, but we're missing the engineering. So we can fix that by uploading the engineering files. I'll try and find one as an example.
Doom, are you saying the files that are to be attached are predetermined by the cost center number, and they're in default in all the databases?
Yes, that's right. So we have them set in by default. So we have gone through that before, and I'll briefly show you that screen in just a moment about how that works. But this cost center for council and town planners, there's a predefined list of attachments that should go with that purchase order.
Yeah.
So that is editable, but there is all default set for every group that we set up.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so we wanted to try and remove this. So it's really just a warning. You don't necessarily need to send this purchase order out. It doesn't matter if it's missing or not. It's up to you whether you think it is required. So in this case, we're missing the engineering. If we go to attachments, we need to put the engineering file in the engineering Dropbox. So I've got a file here. I'll just drag and drop in. So that's our engineering file for this job. I'll go back to orders. All right, now the exclamation mark has gone there. And you'll notice that it's showing in here as an attachment that will be sent along with this purchase order. All right, so this one's missing more, missing kitchen plans. It's missing a no price order for cost center 440, and that's because they're not generated yet. All right, now to email this one off, we can do them individually. So if you only had a few purchase orders you want to send out, we'd select that one and click on the new email button. That'll pop up with the email already in there. We've got a subject and a list of attachments. So these are attaching as links. So it's a very small email to send out, and it gets around any limits that your receiver might have in terms of the file size they can accept. So lots of people still have a 10 meg file limit. This certainly gets around that. All right, so if you sent that, that will go directly to this email address here, but it will also turn up in your emails tab, just into here. So it gives you a record of what you've sent. Now, if you want to send more than one at once, you can send the whole lot just by, again, shift clicking them. And there's a create draft emails button here. So just use create draft emails and jump over to our emails tab. And you'll see here that they're all created here as a draft. They haven't been sent yet. Gives you an opportunity to change some text if you need to. And you can send them straight from here. So I won't do that because these are actually live suppliers' names, but it's just as simple as clicking that send button or shift clicking the ones you'd like to send and clicking send. If you do make a change and you're not quite ready to send it yet, there's also just the save draft, and that will just sit there waiting for you to come back and send it at a later date. Alrighty, now what we spoke about before was these automatic attachments. Again, we have gone through that in an earlier webinar, but we shoot back to home and we'll go to admin and we'll go to cost center. Let's pick one of these, like framing hardware, for example. So this is how it knows what files to attach here. So for framing hardware cost center, we're suggesting that you need to attach the construction plans and the site safety rules. There's another one that's a bit larger. There we go, steel frame and truss supply cost center, 321. So it's requiring all of these things. So if all of these items are in place in attachments, it'll attach all of these. There's 8 different files there. And this part over here is just how you define the files. So if you're ever wondering what engineering is and what you need to name the file, you can come into here and look it up in this list. Right. Just type in ENG for engineering, and it will show us here. So the engineering file is any file that's named with engineering.pdf at the end. So the percent is a wildcard. It means any number of characters can be at the start. So the file could be named anything as long as it ends with engineering.pdf. And one other thing to look at as well is that the file has to be put into the engineering Dropbox folder for it to be accepted automatically when you send it out. Same as all these files here, it'll tell you the exact rules here. So this is the council plans. So as long as you've got the word council in the file name and it's a PDF file and it's sitting in the drawings folder, then that will be attached. All right, it's a bit of a crash course on that one. So is there any questions that we can go through at this stage? So there's not too many questions there. So that about wraps up what I need to show you today. So that's fine. So I'll make this recording available to us shortly this afternoon and let you know where that is so you can view that later on just for reference. If there's anything I can do, just feel free to contact me and I can help you through it as well. All right, thanks for joining our Friday afternoon session. We'll catch you next time.